But one of the things that we track in the 12-week year that most people don't track, and this is, I think, the real difference maker for a lot of our clients, is that we're also tracking your execution effort.
Okay.
We're going to pay attention to what percentage of the tactics that we're doing your plan actually got done. And what we found out after working with tens of thousands of people is that if you score about 80% of the tactics that are getting done each week, you're typically going to hit your goal. Now, there's a lot of variables, how well your plan's written, and are you cherry picking the tactics? But if you're really just actually executing about 80% of your tactics, you're going to hit your goal typically. And that's a really profound aspect of the 12-week year, I think, because you don't have to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. It's not possible,
right.
But you're going to be excellent. You're going to be good. So that's what we do. We track your execution and your results. And every week, so this is for the numbers jocks in the room, but every week you're going to be able to see how well you're executing, and is your executing moving the numbers. And
right.
And if you're executing and you're moving the numbers, what do? You keep going, right? It's like it's working. If you're not executing and you're not moving the numbers, then confront your lack of execution, because execution is what drives the numbers. So if you're not executing, you got to confront that. And then if you are executing, but you're not moving the numbers, then you got to go confront the plan, because the plan, while it's being executed, isn't moving the numbers. So you've got to adjust the plan. Every week, if you're measuring those two things, execution and progress in your lead and lags, you're going to know exactly what to do to get on track or to keep going. So,
when I talk to you, I immediately go into the definition of conscious competence, right? Like, I cannot tell you how many times people say, gosh, I don't know how Jane did that. Well, Jane can tell you. And the more conscious you are, and this plan and this 12-week year really is about raising consciousness, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
But
not about everything, just about a few things that are really important.
Right. What's the most important thing, and make sure that you're doing them. So like the things that spoke to me when I, have gone through planning that has really made an impact. It's this idea of tracking the right things. Mm-hmm. It's easy to track the lagging, which is I sold the house or I didn't. I made the sale or I didn't. Mm-hmm. But the point that you made, which is it's fairly profound, and I'm going to repeat it, is that comes because of something, right? Which is the execution. Right. And a lot of people don't look back at their plan again. They write it down. They assume they did it right. And then they don't know why they're not getting the same results. So in the world of the tens of thousands of people that you have trained and talked to about this system, how often do people change their plans?
That is a really good question. Mm-hmm. And it's a good question because there's two reasons people typically change their plans, two most common.
Right.
One is because the plan's not working and they're working the plan. The other is because they don't feel like working the plan. And so they want to do a different plan. They're way behind.
Right.
Feel better, right?
Right.
The latter reason is a terrible reason to change your plan. It's better to stick with that productive tension of having a plan that you're not executing and confront the fact that you're not taking action, because that awareness, as you talked about, raising awareness, that's one of the key things you want to become aware of, is that you're just not doing what you say you want to do. On the other hand, though, if you're thinking about, the plan that has to change because you're running the plan and it's not adapting to the environment well, that's a great idea to change the plan, because you don't just want to work a plan if it's not delivering what you expect. So you've got to be able to be on top of every week. Is it working? Is it not? Is it me that's not working, or is it the plan that's not working? And if it's the plan that's not working, that's when you change the plan. The other thing that happens too is that in an annual cycle, and I want to kind of come back to the power of the 12-week year one more time if I can.
Yeah.
Here. And in the annual cycle, there is so much time to get things done that you don't necessarily feel the urgency of a plan that's not working. With the 12-week year, because you've shifted your thinking from success and failure being a 12-month deal to now success and failure is a 12-week deal. People are all in a 12-week year the last quarter of the year, because there's no more time to get stuff done. There's no more, if I don't get it done now, it's not going to happen. So everybody, that's why we see this peak in activity, where people are doing more stuff and they're getting more results. So everybody's periodized or 12-week exercise, if you will, at the end of the year. But the reason they do that is because their success and failure hangs in the balance. So what we want to do is move their thinking to look at the 12 weeks as their success and failure cycle. So every 12 weeks, I'm either successful or I'm not by my own definition. And that creates a greater sense of urgency and focus. So when I'm executing in a 12-week cycle, then, and I own that goal as my success and failure measure, then if I'm falling off in week 1, I'm going to get back on. If I'm thinking annually, if I'm falling off in the first week of January, I'm not going to be worried. I've got 51 more weeks. I'm not worried at all. I'm going to make it up, right? And that's the kind of low productivity thinking that creates the problem. So when you think about changing the plan, the problem with the 12-month cycle is that you have no idea what's going to be happening in November when you're sitting there in January. Nope. I mean, look at what happened in 2020. And right. I don't want to reiterate it when we could all just kind of spit it all out, but there's been just a huge amount of change in society in the last 12 months that you couldn't have predicted. And if you planned, I guarantee your plan was terrible after May. It didn't fit unless you happen to be, in pharmaceutical manufacturing and you plan to have a pandemic, but
huge, right.
For most of us, it didn't. And so it's too long a cycle to adjust. But with most by the way, most annual plans are invalid after March. So where the 12-week year is really, really superseded is that when things are not working, you can change it. And here's the thing, there are things you don't know from the beginning, right? In 12 weeks, even so let's say I'm doing a marketing launch, right? And I'm gonna make this offer, and I might have a split test. One offer is going to work, one offer is not going to work. Maybe I'm thinking right. Both offers don't work. Well, then what do I do? Well, I've got to come up with a new offer. So, but maybe one of them just took off. And so now I'm just doing split tests on that offer. My point is that you only know a certain amount of information that you can plan for. And you've got to be able to adjust your plan based upon what the world's telling you. So you change your plan when it's no longer functioning.